like wrestling, that's always going to be my first love. That's what I love to do. If somebody gave me a ring right now, I'd jump in that motherfucker. If I had somebody to wrestle, I'd jump in the backyard real quick.
Get your backyard wrestling merch at ProWrestlingTees.com.
I have often said that of everyone who backyard wrestled with us, Kid Krush was easily the best.
Oh, that was sweet.
What set Kid Krush apart wasn't his athleticism or his acrobatics. It wasn't that he could get a good match out of a broom.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
What set him apart first and foremost was his attitude and his work ethic. In 2002, Kid Krush had been feuding with Nappy. Kid Krush was the PWL Hardcore Champion at the time, and this feud was the first time he really got the opportunity to show everyone what he was capable of.
Woo! That was fucking awesome. Yeah, I got it all.
Dirt, grass stains. Kid Krush is coming for the crown. Ripped jeans and a mask from the swap meet sweat. Hard concrete, he thinks he owns a zip code. Nappy waiting by the shed, Nappy waiting with a lead pipe. Looking for blood, looking for a win, looking for a way out. Backyard wrestling history. Backyard wrestling history. Kid Krush and Nappy in the heat. They don't ever sleep, they don't ever sleep. History is written in the mud. Written in the mud. Written in the mud. Written in the mud. Face first. Krush took a power bomb through a table. Plywood splintered like bone. Nappy laughed, Nappy screamed. Nappy threw a folding chair at his head. No referees, no rules, no mercy in the garden. The night, gravel in his teeth, gravel in his hair, gravel in his lungs. Backyard wrestling history. Backyard wrestling history. Kid Krush and Nappy in the heat. They don't ever sleep, they don't ever sleep. History is written in the mud. Written in the mud. Written in the mud. Face first. Broken ribs, broken glass, broken dreams. A decade of war, a decade of hate, a decade of scars. Neither one will back down, neither one will stay down. Yeah.
We have a big brawl erupting between the fans and wrestlers. But the one I'm most concerned with is the one between Nappy and Rain. Decide. Oh!
This is backyard wrestling history. Backyard wrestling history. Kid Krush and Nappy in the heat. They don't ever sleep, they don't ever sleep. History is written in the mud. Written in the mud. Kid Krush, Nappy, just a couple kids. Here's what we're done.
There with the chair. He's got him in a sleeper hold. I locked it on. He's locked it. Rain mission. Nappy taps out. Nappy taps. Oh, look. Rain is still the hardcore champion.
We knew that eventually we wanted to push him further up the card and eventually to the world title. But first, we had to get that hardcore title off of him. We decided to have him face a comedy character, the Hip Hop Demon, who at the time had a losing streak. Now, losing your title to a comedy character with a losing streak is something most people would have taken issue with, but Kid Krush trusted us. And not only did he have no issues with it, he gave the Hip Hop Demon the best match of his career and used this loss to further his feud with Nappy.
Stop sign! 2, 3. No! The losing streak is over!
You know what? I just had one of the weakest matches. And Nappy gonna get that shit. He gonna get it. Interfering in my match? I know it's supposed to be the SWL versus the PWL, but Nappy's gonna get an ass kicking when I see him.
Kid Krush went on to become a 2-time PWL World Champion and a 2-time CCW World Champion, and was a figurehead that both promotions would be built around. By the time the CCW Underground Arena rolled around in 2004, we knew we wanted to push Nappy and Evan as our top guys to keep our product fresh. Kid Krush understood this and had no problem stepping aside and letting Evan have the spotlight.
I mean, I feel the dynamic changed because it's like, you know, passing the torch. I had been at the top for so long, I didn't know what the bottom felt like. You know what I mean? And when you at the top for so long, you don't know what the bottom felt like, that take away that humble. You're not humble anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's cool to be cocky. It's cool to be a little arrogant. When you don't have that humble in you, you don't have that care. You know what I'm saying? You don't have that drive because you feel like you the man and you done did it and ain't nobody else can challenge you. So me stepping back was really like passing torch.
I think he was really unselfish. There's not a lot of people who would do that for their partner. They will always want to be champ. They would always want to be on top. But he stepped aside. He let me do what I was supposed to do. And that did nothing but make us better.
I mean, really behind the scenes, it was like, you know what I'm saying? I had got into a point in my crossroads where I felt like, you know what I'm saying, I had done really everything that I could possibly do in this wrestling. But at the same time, you know, eventually I learned that I didn't. But I felt like give somebody another opportunity, you know what I'm saying? Because eventually I'm going to have to face him. And I need some new talent. I need somebody that's big. So we can clash eventually. But I'm going to let you build yourself, man, and get yourself where you need to be so that we can really make something happen.
Later in the Underground era, I would be feuding with TPG, and at Underground 8, the two of us would battle in a first blood match. Before that, however, TPG would team up with Nappy to take on the dynasty of Kid Krush and Evan.
Any match involving tagging, because I remember the last match that I was in out there in the mist, ready to strike, ready to take what's brother in arms. Not that, Rev, what the hell are you doing? Craven, I thought I knew you. Right on his back, which is where Nappy belongs. On his back. Only thing is, there will never be a bitch on top of his back. They don't know, ladies and gentlemen, this, as I said before, is a standard of the, oh my God. Driver to the knee. Ladies and gentlemen. Big swing. Oh.
Big sidewalk slam.
So much for that. Of yours truly. And then, boom. Is this a German? German to Jack.
Once again, Kid Krush knew if TPG gets the win, it will help build him up for the main event and make it more meaningful when Craven beats him. But Evan is the Underground champion, so we don't want him eating the pin. So even though TPG had been a jobber most of his career, and Kid Krush was an established top guy, he had no problem eating the pin in service of the bigger picture.
See this? This is what it's always gonna be.
By 2007, Kid Krush had found himself in AWF. He ended up in a triple threat match with myself and Big Frankie in a match that was designed for him to get the win. He had spent the last few appearances putting other people over, and we wanted to keep him strong and make sure he didn't get buried. The main storyline at the time was Nappy and myself being undefeated for a year, leading to our eventual clash at Fallout for the AWF title. So this match was set to see Kid Krush get the win over Frankie, so that he can finally get his hand raised again. And I can stay undefeated to not screw up the story we were telling with Nappy. Unfortunately, the match went off the rails pretty quick as Frankie forgot everything we laid out beforehand. And we had to call an audible mid-match and make it elimination style to try and salvage it in whatever way we could.
Yo, Frankie has been eliminated!
Even though Kid Krush was planned to win, he understood that keeping me undefeated was more important and literally told me during the match, "You need to win so we can keep you undefeated." Never once did Kid Krush bitch about having to lose. Never once did he have a bad attitude about anything. When he disagreed with something, he voiced his opinion, but ultimately he did what was asked of him to the best of his ability. People used to argue over who got to wrestle him because you knew if you were wrestling Kid Krush, you were going to have a great match. He was selfless. He understood the big picture and the art of telling a story. And he was someone that was easy to work with, as we knew no matter what we asked of him, he could deliver. That's what made Kid Krush the best of us.
Jesus.
Dude, check out Christy.